all agree on the fact that Bollywood has no shortage of movies about love stories. There are at least two which come out every year, and apart from each having its own quirk, they're pretty much all the same. Boy meets girl, song sequences, some flirting, song sequences, minor inconvenience, sad song sequence, and the grand gesture done by one of the two or both parties which resolves everything and the movie ends. I'm not complaining. I mean, who doesn't like love stories? And it's the one thing that is always a moderately safe thing to bet on in Bollywood. But every once in a while, a movie like Tamasha comes around which can be classified as a love story, but it's actually more than that. In most love stories, both main characters are introduced at the same time or given the same amount of screen time for their introductions to play out.
तंग आ चुकी हूँ माँ अपनी स्टूपिड लाइफ से। वो आदिति अपने दोस्तों के साथ छुट्टी पे जा रही है। मैं अपने आप को एक संडे को भी छुट्टी नहीं दे सकती, इतना पढ़ना पड़ता है मुझे। ऊपर से आप लोग मेरे सर पे बैठे रहते हो।
आप सोई क्यों नहीं अब तक?
किताब पढ़ रहा था
अंधेरे में।
And each of these characters end up being the same with quirks, and that is all you ever get. Tamasha takes the first 15 minutes of the movie just to introduce Ved's character, which is pretty unorthodox for a movie that has been sold to us as a romance movie by its trailer. This is where you first start to see that this movie isn't going to be just about the love story. Most of these love stories are littered with song and dance sequences. Basically, from last year had 7 songs in the movie and 1 song that played twice, which is 8 song sequences. And if we take the average length of a song as 3.5 minutes, that amounts to about 28 minutes of the movie. 28 minutes of a 2 or 10 minute long movie are spent singing and dancing. I mean, it's a great way to keep the audience distracted from the fact that there is no story to really grasp onto. Tamasha has a song and dance sequence, but it has just the one. The rest of the soundtrack is utilized in a mostly transitional sense, and that is how music should be used. But after the song and dance sequence, both the main characters immediately fall in love. It's like ripping off a band-aid. You have to do it and it's gonna sting, so might as well get it over with quickly. There are some really cliched yet heartful moments between the characters before they eventually part ways. And if you notice, something similar happens in another movie which has the same 2 actors in the lead roles, but it was handled in a more conventional manner. In Ye Jawani Hai Diwani, after everything that happens which brings Kabir and Naina together, it is revealed that Kabir is going to Chicago to study journalism, and they end up parting ways. Once they meet again, it is implied that the love between them resumes as it was and nothing has really changed. Apart from the fact that Naina has gone from awkward nerdy girl with specs to casually attractive confident girl with lenses for no reason. Here, Imtiaz Ali does the same thing differently. Once Tara and Ved part ways, we follow Tara's story and see how things go for her for the next couple of years. She breaks up with a boyfriend and slowly starts becoming more important in the company she works for, but above all else, she's still pretty lonely. So, after doing some socially acceptable stalking, she finds Ved. And just like the characters in every other romance movie, she assumes that the love between them will resume from where they had left it off 4 years ago. But in the case of Ye Jawani Hai Diwani, where after the 2 characters meet again, where the minor inconvenience was Kabir having to choose between a life with Naina or living abroad to follow his dreams, in Tamasha, Imtiaz Ali sees this opportunity to throw in a not so minor inconvenience. Once Tara and Ved meet again and spend a lot of time together, she realizes that Ved isn't the person that Tara had fallen in love with, and this alienates her to the extent that she leaves him. Making him go haywire. Where in other romantic movies, this part is usually the shortest and comes near the end of the movie and is usually put in there as a formality, Imtiaz Ali decides to make this the halfway point of the film and seizes this opportunity to delve deeper into Ved's suppressed character and shows the emotional struggle he goes through in order to get back up on his feet and become the man he always wanted to be. This movie stood out for me because it avoided taking the easy way out and chose not to do something different but the same thing differently. It for the most part does exactly what every other love story does, but in doing so, chooses to tell a more detailed and important story. We don't really see a lot of love stories that have little to do with something other than the romance that exists between the main 2 characters. This is something that takes a lot of courage to pull off because there is always a risk of people leaving the theatre scratching their heads. We rarely see films where the director doesn't just stylize his film with the help of over the top characters and repetitive song sequences just because there's a love story at play.
मुझे यकीन हो गया है
क्या?
कि तेजा का सोना तेरे पास है दरअसल
तो फिर डंग 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 टू 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 डाउन टिक टिंग डाउन डंग 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 डाउन 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 डंग 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 मा 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 मा